Right then, this is a walk around video for a Honda Civic, and it's a 1.6 Sport, and it's the Navigator model, so it's got the big screen sat nav fitted, which is a lovely feature on this car. Finished in this beautiful Milano red. The car comes with a full service history and is in really fabulous condition. Obviously for these facelift models, you can tell the new style front end, which looks fantastic on the car. And the sport treatment looks absolutely brilliant with the black alloys. Lights and lenses clear, intact, no cracks or condensation in them. Bonnet itself really good. Obviously with 65,000 miles there are going to be the odd one or two very light stone chips, but they are light indeed. Near side of the car, absolutely mirror smooth in the panels, lovely and clean. Near side front alloy, the one that takes all of the bashing. I can't see a mark on it, it's absolutely beautiful. Panel work down the side, pretty much blemish free, can't see anything that obviously stands out to me. Near side rear alloy, again, absolutely beautiful condition. Then come around the back of the car, again these facelift versions get the kind of the smoked glass. You get privacy on these as well, and this kind of lower black diffuser, which it's all very subtle, but all adds up to a really smart looking car. And the back of the car, clean as well. Offside of the vehicle, again, absolutely mirror smooth in the panels. Offside rear alloy, unmarked. And the main panels are wonderfully clean. There will be some very minor marks, I always say it, you have to bear that in mind, but there's nothing that jumps out at me at all. And final alloy, again, in absolutely wonderful condition. Coming to the back of the car now, absolutely enormous boots on these cars, and it's been kept very well back here. Coming to the back of the car, big wide opening rear doors, and this is the Achilles heel of any family hatch because this is where the kids sit, and yet this one has got off pretty much scot-free. It is in lovely condition back here. Coming to the passenger side on the front, door card, as with all of them actually, in lovely condition. And passenger seats on the front there, again in absolutely beautiful condition. Finally coming to the front, driver's door card, absolutely beautiful. Footwell area is lovely and clean. The driver's seat itself in really good condition. Inside the car now, engine's running through this section, so the dashboard can be seen illuminated, which looks pretty much as new, and it's a wonderful dash design. Sat nav, you can see it working absolutely perfectly. I've popped the car into reverse. You have that lovely clear gridded parking camera, and that's backed up by the parking sensors, and which are front and rear, by the way. If I come up here, hopefully you can see, and pan in, trying to snag the wire. 65,146 miles. Come back, and what a dashboard. I mean, it really is absolutely stunning. Finally, just to show you, owner's manual, pack and lock and wheel nut key, both here and present with the car. Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Honda Civic 1.6 Sport diesel. This particular car is registered DG65HVA, and mileage currently showing is 65,146 miles. The reason we do these videos is basically so that if anyone is looking at this car or any of our cars in an advert online, they actually get to see that very car in operation. We feel that's really important, and the reason for that is that we know to our cost, unfortunately, just how frustrating it can be to go and see a car which can look perfectly good in photographs and in a description, but only to get there and find out when you drive it it's got a fundamental issue which shows up whilst driving the car. So that's why we do it, and it's critical in that sense. It's also done on these very quiet country roads, and this actually forms part of the road test route that we take customers on. And the reason for that is we want it to be representative of what you'd feel yourself should you be offered a test drive in the car. So coming to the car itself, obviously it's been very well looked after, and it feels it. immediately. I'm not going to spoil the whole video by giving it away, but basically engine starts instantly, it settles to completely smooth, even idle. There are no warning lights on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car. Temperature gauge running at a third, which is exactly where it's meant to be on one of these cars, by the way. The engines are simply brilliant. They really, really are. Most people will buy diesel for obvious reasons, reliability, longevity, and most importantly, fuel economy, because unfortunately reliability isn't a given with some manufacturers. Economy is astonishing in these things. I've owned numbers, a whole host of them. I've even done a video on the economy you can expect to get out of the cars. But the reality is, doing sort of short trips around here, they're fairly kind roads, but they are B roads and a bit of up and down. But I tend to average sort of 63 to the gallon. That's pretty much what I do with all of them. Longer trips along the A roads and a bit of motorway, I'm over 70. But driving style, if you're doing pure city driving, obviously you're not going to get as much as that, but that you can get what the manufacturer claims with these cars, which is a real rarity in this day and age. They're also incredibly reliable with just regular maintenance. They take quite enormous mileages in their stride. Sorry, this is the parking sensors, by the way. That's a battle I will lose. Yeah, I mean, an incredibly durable engine and reliable too. Engine then goes through clutch into gearbox. Clutch in the car, absolutely perfect. Bike points exactly where it's meant to be, and it's lovely and smooth and positive in the pedal travel. Gearbox is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Honda do these really well. They always have. This gear selection, the synchromesh, absolutely beautifully done. The springing between the gears, it's made to feel, because basically Honda, like most manufacturers with front wheel drive cars, run cables from the gear lever to the gearbox, and that can mean you can end up with a lifeless, light, fairly sloppy gear box in terms of the kind of the actuation. But Honda make it feel quite meaty, mechanical, and it's all to do with a lot of work goes into how they sort of put the little sort of selector underneath there. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and it feels as new, in all honesty. Steering of the car tracks absolutely dead straight. There's no vibrations at all at this speed or any speed up to the legal limit, but it's a brilliant power steering system. It's quick, it's direct, you hardly have to move the wheel to get it through the corners, but it's so precise and accurate. It's absolutely brilliant because it's matched the chassis absolutely brilliantly. It's genius, in all honesty, because the chassis is very dynamic. It's very comfortable, by the way. Only the sharpest ridges catch it out. Driving normally like I am now, it pampers you. It's got beautiful body control and damping, but when you show it a series of corners, it really, really comes alive, and that's where the steering helps, because it's quite quick, but the chassis is able to cope with changes of direction really, really well. Having said that, what I'm looking for on these videos is any signs of wear and tear. And when you're over a bump, you'll hear it going over a bump, albeit fairly subdued. But what you don't want to hear is any kind of knocking noises or clattering coming from underneath the car, which is normally fairly innocent stuff like drop links on cars, but there's nothing at all. It's absolutely as solid as a rock, this vehicle. Just going to give the brakes a bit of a shove, make sure no one's directly behind me. So, really lovely solid brake pedal on the vehicle. What I'm looking for is basically when you hit the brakes, there shouldn't be any pulsing or vibrations coming back through the brake pedal, and there is nothing at all. It's exactly as it should be. So coming inside the vehicle, first things first, build quality. I mean, not a squeak, not a rattle, not a buzz, nothing at all. They are brilliantly put together, and as if anyone that's seen my previous videos will know that it does bug me that the motoring press seem to laud the obvious candidates in this category for build quality, because they've got lots of squidgy plastics and the doors are thunky and they feel robust. But that isn't build quality, that's an impression actually, is how the car stays together over many years and many tens of thousands of miles. And this is where Honda excel, and so do Toyota and so do Lexus, and they're brilliant. They're not in your face with how they do it. And I think it's superbly manufactured. All the switch gears got this wonderful quality of actuation to it, but more importantly in these Civics you've got this absolutely brilliant dash design. I still maintain this is one of the greatest dashes ever designed, because it doesn't appeal to everybody, I have to say. Some people absolutely despise it, but most fortunately from our point of view absolutely love it, because unlike so many cars when you jump in them, which are basically, they're just variations of the same thing, this at least dares to be different, but for good reason. The most conformist part is this centre stack here, which is fairly similar to lots of cars. You've got big sat nav all working perfectly, you've got a dual zone climate control system giving you different temperatures side to side. Pumps out lovely cold air, by the way, we've checked that in the workshops, but all working perfectly well. But then in front of me you've got this brilliant two-tier design dashboard. So you've got an information pod up there, so when you do things like change your fan speed or radio, the display comes up there as well as down here, so you're not taking your eyes off the road for any longer than you actually need to. It's much easier to do it. But the best one is the speedo up there, which Honda, to their shame, have now put back down into here in the very latest generation cars. It's simply brilliant, because what it means is you can be looking ahead at the pedestrian there, but you can be looking at your speed at all times without having to look into the bowels of the dash to find it. It's, as I said, I think it's one of the greatest designs, but it happens to be so pleasing to the eye as well. Down below that you've got a more conventional pod of 3 dials, your rev counter, speedo and temperature gauges as you'd expect, but very nicely presented. Steering wheel, thick rimmed, feels absolutely as new in hand. It feels great as well, it really does. You've got your cruise control on there, and your various sort of functions for radio and information display as well. As I said at the start of the video, the point of it is just to show the car in operation, but to feedback on any issues there may be on the car. There's nothing. It drives absolutely as new, and I hate saying that because it's such a cliche in the used car trade, but we've been selling Hondas for nearly 3 decades now. I used to work for Honda in Bristol, so we know these cars intimately, and it is a wonderful, wonderful car, this one. If you've got any questions, do give us a call.